Welcome. This is Study Guide 8 for our time together on Thursday. Be ready on Thursday to translate any verse from Genesis 1 to 20. We'll probably go over some of those together, and then the latter ones I'll call on you randomly to present. What I would like you to do is to translate the verse and then to explain anything interesting in it, and then we'll talk about it together. Make sure you carefully read through chapter 8 in full of love. Straightforward chapter. On the whole, it's kind of a leftovers chapter, interrogatives, small words. We've looked at some already, but carefully read his note. And carefully read the Kathiv Kareh section in full love. So in the margin of BHS and over the text in BHS, there are markings. Over the word, it'll be a small circle. I've heard it called a circulus. And if you look over the circulus, in the margin will be a kof. And that stands for the Kareh. So what the circulus marks is the Kathiv. That's what's written. But the scribes are telling you don't read out loud what's written. Rather, say this Kareh. So Kathiv Kareh. It's the start of a critical apparatus. And so we'll need to do it. When you're dealing with an electronic text, usually they'll put the Kathiv Kareh readings in the line underneath, and so you'll see it. But when you're dealing with a printed text, you have to, when you see the circulus, you have to look in the margin, and you'll see what they want you to read. That's on page 99. So carefully read that. Carefully read the whole chapter. Great chapter, but make sure you thoroughly understand the Kathiv Kareh, because that's very important. Do take time to review the vocab from previous weeks and review the charts that we've done from previous weeks. In terms of today's vocabulary, we have this word lema'an, for the sake of, in order that. Kara is call upon in the sense of naming things, and also all who call on the name of the Lord will be saved. That's this word. Rav is great. You might have guessed that Rabbi means my great one. Adon is Lord. Adoni is my Lord. Adonai is my Lord's plural. Adonai, my Lord's plural, is the translation surrogate for the Tetragrammaton. El is the singular for God. I am a jealous God. El Kana. Amar is say. Lachem is bread. So Bethlehem is the house of bread. Midbar is desert. Voice crying out in the wilderness. Sava is order, direct command. Devar we've had before, but we'll review it here. Speak. Nefesh is an interesting word. Soul is the main one they give you. It can mean throat. The related word can mean appetite. Sheol has a soul, it says. So it's an interesting word. We'll have to see in context, but start off with soul. Natan is give, so Yonatan is Yahweh gives. Nathaniel is the gift of God, so Natan. Asar is 10. Shalach is send. Im with 8. Time. Davar will be the noun form of speak or say. Halak, very common word, to walk. Shame is name. Shem, we say, Noah's son, Shem, his name means name. Hineh, behold. Ephraim, notice it's a dual. It looks like it's related to the word fruitful to me, but it's the proper name, Ephraim. Yasav, sit or dwell. Moab, you can see the men preposition perhaps in of, so from, father. So these are the words. I think we're about at 200 words now, so make sure you continually review those words. All of these words are very common words. If you get about the top 250 memorized, you can use the reader's lexica that they print. So we're doing a great job, but make sure you get these words down very well. If we just look over Full Love's vocabulary, these are common words. They're all interrogatives. These will not be on our test, but we'll take this as an opportunity to become familiar, and some of them there will be review. Achar, achire is after or behind. Ye is where. Eika is how. So all these are questions. Ain, there is not. So this is how you say there is not something. El, we're learning today the word for God. Notice this has a sigol, so to or toward. When I first learned Hebrew, I was always confused with the definite object marker and the word with. And then finally I realized they're exactly the same words. In fact, one of the ancient translations, it may be Aquila, it may be Symmachus, I can't remember, wanted to give a very literal translation into Greek. And whenever he came to the definite article, he would just put the word with in Greek. And even though it made no sense in the translation, he would put it there. And it's because he's seeing what we're seeing, and that is the utter similarity of the direct object marker with the word with. Bain, we've seen Bain HaHoshek, between, betok, in the midst of waters, we've seen from Genesis 1. Hineh occurs a lot of places. The archaic way of doing it is behold. Full Love suggests that you leave it untranslated. It's totally up to you. How driven are you by the text in your translation? How comfortable will it help your people? That's a question you're going to have to ask, but this is usually translated behold. It appears lots of places. Yesh is the particle of existence. There is, there are. Le ma'an, we're probably going to read passage from Ezekiel today when we do our sight reading tonight, and we're going to see this in context, but it means on account of or for the sake of. So nice word. It's not for your sake, O house of Israel, I'm about to act, but for the sake of my name. That's a place where it occurs. Ezekiel 36:22. Lifnei occurs everywhere. It means before. Ma is what? Interrogative. Me, we've done the funny saying, who is he and he is she, and me is who, and dog is fish. And I had a student the other day, after I said that, they said, Ma is what? And I looked at them quizzically, and he said again, Ma is what? And he was making a joke. He was saying, Ma means what? Ma'al is above. That occurs in Genesis 1-2. We've seen it. Na is it's a particle, and most grammars will tell you to translate it please. That's an English approximation, but the word please doesn't always work. But it is a strange little word, and it occurs in lots of cases of direct address. So you're going to have to figure out exactly how you want to do that. It comes after the word, at least as I've seen it. Odd is up to, as far as, until. I remember this from the Latin ad. It's my mnemonic device. All is upon. If you know the Israeli airline El Al, to upon, that may be a way to remember this. Al Devar, because of, literally on the word of, so this is a construct and it's going to follow upon the word of, on account of. Im is another way of saying with, and then tahat is under, which we've seen from Genesis 1 as well. So just read through those. Don't memorize them yet. We'll see them a lot. So the last thing we'll do tonight is we'll look at Genesis 1 through 20, what we'll do next week. And what I want you to be able to do is stand up in front of the class, and if this is your verse, to say, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. So the first thing I want you to do is to be able to read it out loud in Hebrew. That's the start of everything. And then I want you to explain the grammar. In beginning, it doesn't have the A-class vowel, so it's not in the beginning, just in beginning. Elohim created. The created is he created. So you're establishing monotheism here. And then when you explain the he is im, plural, Elohim, not Eloah. So in the beginning, he, that is Elohim, this singular being who at the same time is some undefined plural. 3 words into the Hebrew Bible. In the beginning, he, that is Elohim, created the heavens, dual, definite article, and the earth. If we do 2, V'ha'aretz hayta tohu v'bohu v'hoshek al pnei tehom v'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. So we have the earth was. Some people try to translate this became, but it doesn't really work that way. And the earth was without form and void. We've seen tohu vabohu used elsewhere, very negative things. And choshek is on the faces of the deep. We've seen in the Septuagint where deep is translated abyss, abusos, another negative thing. And then this positive, and the spirit of Elohim, the Ruach Elohim, was, I'm supplying the word was here. And then we have a PL participle, was hovering over, was intensely hovering over, and it can be like a bird moving its wings back and forth. It's used in Deuteronomy of an eagle lovingly over its offspring. And so is this a negative thing or is it a positive thing? We don't really know. When we look in light of the whole Bible, it's probably a positive thing that God's Spirit is coming to this dead, dark thing without form and void and loving it. The Spirit was hovering on the faces of the waters. 3. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or Vayehi Or. So we have a converted imperfect. Elohim said, "Let there be light." This little sign here is usually a break, some kind of break or pause. Let there be light. And there was light, converted imperfect. If we looked up this phrase in Genesis 1, it's going to appear 10 times. One time it does have the word "to them," and he said to them, that is Elohim. Jewish interpreters point out that the 10 Commandments are called the 10 words. And so you've got God creating the universe and then God continuing this relationship with the 10 words. So there may be something there. There's no chart difference between the jussive and the imperfect as you see here. But this is volative, as Full of Love points out. 4. Vayar Elohim et Haor Kitov. And Elohim saw. Another converted imperfect. The light. We've got an anaphoric use of the definite article. Light, and then the light. The light I've been talking about. God saw that it was good. Gustavo pointed out last week, day 2 is not called good. There are other days where 2 things during the day is called good, and so you have to ask yourself why that is. Have another converted perfect here, and Elohim caused a separation between the light and between the darkness. And if we look at Akot, we see that this is a Hifil, converted or consecutive. You'll hear people using both those terms. Imperfect, so God caused separation between the light and between the darkness. And God called, first we'll read in Hebrew, Vayikra Elohim La'or Yom, converted, imperfect. God called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night. Notice that's how you have the definite article when you have prepositions. And there was evening and morning, day 1. If you were doing this verse, you might want to look at how Yom Echad is used elsewhere. Got the strange eschatological use, I think, in Zechariah 14 that's interesting. Second use here, and Vayomer Elohim Yehi Rakia Betok Hamayim Vayehi Mavdil Bain Mayim Lamayim. God said, so is this the second time? Let there be a rakia. We don't know what a rakia is right now. We should keep reading. If we looked at the triradical root, rakah, it has to do with smashing or beating. Korah's censers are smashed on the side of the altar and beaten flat. So some kind of violent word. Let there be a rakia in the midst of waters, and let it be Hifil participle. Let it be a thing separating between waters and waters. So this is a jussive paraphrastic, you would call this, where you have a to be verb and a participle. That's how all the ancient translations do it. Let it be a thing causing separation. Vaya'as Elohim, and God made, et ha-rakia. We'll read through the whole thing in Hebrew and then explain. Vaya'as Elohim et ha-rakia, vayavdel bein hamayim esher metahat la rakia, uvein hamayim esher me'al la rakia, vayihikain. And God made the rakia, and then you have to decide, is it the rakia doing this or is it God? In verse 1, it's God causing a separation between light and darkness. Given the participle in the previous verse, I think it's the rakia here, and the rakia caused a separation between the waters which were under the rakia and between the waters which were from upon to the rakia. So we've got our tahat word plus min there. The noon has been absorbed in this, and you get the dagesh, so that's a very common, you're going to see that everywhere, from underneath to the rakia. And then, and it was so, common refrain through there. 8, Vayikra Elohim la rakia shamayim, Vayihi erev, Vayihi voker yom sheni. So, and God called to the rakia. So this is the naming formula. Elohim named the rakia shamayim. So what is the rakia? First and foremost is shamayim. But we do have to ask ourselves the question, what's the relationship of shamayim here to verse 1? Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. Is this the same? Is this different? And there was evening and morning, literally a second day. So see, there's no the here. And we've gone from the cardinal day 1 to the ordinal second, a second day. If I were presenting 9, I might say, well, I'd read it first. Vayomer Elohim Yikava'u. That's a strange word. Notice this is doubled here. Yikava'u Hamayim Metahath Hashemayim Ed Makom Echad Vata'ar Vata'ra'eh Ha-Yabashah Vayihikain. Another one of our friends, and Elohim said. Then we have a jussive here, and notice that the jussive is a nifal of kavah, and so this is let them be collected, let the waters be collected from underneath the heavens. It's interesting, in the Septuagint, they're using religious language. Synagogues, let them be collected into synagogues. We have here from underneath the heavens to makom echad. Makom, I think we've had in the vocabulary, echad, yom echad, so to one place. And then we have another nifal jussive here. We could see it in akot, converted nifal, and let Yabashah appear. And it was so. If I were presenting this verse, I might point out that Yabashah appearing, well, that happens at the parting of the Red Sea, and we have parting of water here, so this is strange. Is this meant to draw our minds to that event? 10, Vayikra Elohim la Yabashah Eretz. God, well, I'll read the whole thing and then we'll do it. Ul mikveh hamayim kara yamin, vayar Elohim kitov. Elohim called to the Yabashah. Elohim named the Yabashah Eretz. We have the same thing. Is this the same Eretz that it's speaking of in 1? Is what's being spoken of in 1:1 kind of an uncollected earth at that point? Interesting questions. We don't really know here. We should keep reading to see. To the collection, mikveh. This is a word that occurs in Rabbinic Judaism, like a bath is called a mikvah, I think, a collection of waters. He called seas. Of course, raises the question, are the waters that are divided uncollected, heavenly waters? And God saw that it was good. God doesn't say this on day 2, so he says it here. So that's interesting. This is the second thing that God says on day 3. Vayomer Elohim Tadsheh Haaretz Desha. You see these are cognates here. Let the earth, Desha, Esev, Mazriya, Zera, Eitz Peri Osa, Peri Lemino, Esher, Zaro Bo Al Haaretz Vayikain. And God said, let the earth, and then this is the word vegetation, and put forth. If there were a way to make these connected in your translation, that will help you remember it. Let it vegetate vegetation. Let it put forth vegetation. And then this seems to be in a positive to me. What is the vegetation? The vegetation is plants. Plants seeding seed. Second part of the group, tree of fruit. So this is a construct. Tree of fruit, making fruit according to its kind, which his seed, this is a pronominal suffix, his seed is in it. Or we're going to translate it, its seed is in it. So just like everything reproduces after its kind, this is emphasizing its seed is in it on the earth, and it was so. Va tutse haaretz desha, esev mazria zera leminehu, va eitz osa peri esher zarobo, Leminehu Vayar Elohim Kitov. So this is saying what happened when God spoke, and the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage, plants, however you want to translate this. Seeding seed, this is a hiphil participle, causing seed according to its kind, and tree making fruit, which its seed was in it according to its kind. You do have these third masculine formatives. You can see you do have, it would be nice if it was always O, but sometimes it's Ahu, so we've got to memorize different forms, but according to its kind. And a tree making fruit, which his seed is in it, according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning, day 6. The only day that doesn't have this formula is day 7 in chapter 2, so might have to ask ourselves why that's the case. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Me'oroth Birakia Hashemayim Lehavdil Bein Hayom Uvein Halayla Vechayu Laoto Lamoedim Ul Yamim Vashanim. And Elohim said, so we've got our formula again, let there be lamps. So this is the usual word for like luminaries. Let there be things causing light. You can see the word light there. In Rakia, so notice you don't have the word the, and the reason you don't have the word the is because this is in construct with Hashemayim. Let there be luminaries in Rakia of the heavens. So when you have it like that, you get to put the word the here, but the here comes from this being the heavens. So in the heavens, in the Rakia of the heavens. And then we have our friend Badal, Hifil. This is an infinitive construct to divide between the day and between the night. And let them be for lights. We have in Akot here, sorry, let them be for signs. I was misreading that as or. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So a lot of people point out, why do you have the word signs? How are they signs? But that's what it says. 15, let them be, if you'll let me change here, I'm going to change this to the AFAT. For some reason, my BHS isn't looking up the roots in Logos, and I don't know why that is. But the AFAT will let there be luminaries. Let them be for signs. 15. Let them be for sources of light, luminaries in the Rakia of the heavens on the earth. And it was so. God made the two lights. What kind of lights were they? The two big lights. The big light to rule over the day, and the small light to rule over the night. Then you have the word et here. So, and he also made the stars. So that's why you're doing this. The light, the stars. I'm going to leave these for you to explore as you do your homework, but we'll just quickly translate. And God gave them, so this is a suffix with et. God gave them in the Rakia of the heavens for a light, in order to give light on the earth, and in order to rule over the day and over the night, and in order to separate, if you'll, infinitive construct, between the light and between the darkness. God saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. So again, no the. And Elohim said, let the Mayim swarm a swarm, a nefesh hayah, and birds flittering. This is a strange thing we'll talk about it in class. On the earth, on the face of the Rakia of the heavens. All right, well, I'll see you on Thursday we'll go over a lot of this. See you then. Thanks.